doesn't happen, then the consequences will be.
Who or what could stop the Israelis and the Americans from this catastrophe, the carpet bombing of Tehran and the expansion of the war?
Well, first, the Arab countries could, in principle. They house military bases. They should, if they had the guts, but they don't. But they should tell the Americans, leave. Go home. You're not giving us security. You're destroying our security. You're destroying our countries. You're destroying our economy. That's what they should do. That by itself would be enough to stop, because the U.S. ability to project power in the region depends on the militarization by the United States of the region. And that is also the same reason why these countries won't do what I just said. They're basically vassal states of the United States, which is very sad for them, very sad for us, because we suffer the consequences of the resulting Trump megalomania and U.S. government megalomania. The other way to do this is for the major powers of the world that are not the United States or its vassal states, and that today is largely defined as the so-called BRICS countries, should, in a unified way, stand up clearly and say to the United States and Israel, stop. Enough of this tragic absurdity. It's tragic because it's devastating. It's absurd because a child would not have gotten into this mess that we're in, but Trump is less than a child in the logic of his thinking. We have trapped the entire world in a disaster to the point where Mr. Trump is appealing to China to come bail us out, appealing to other countries, threatening NATO. If you don't help us, then you're going to be in dire trouble. The man is a loon. I'm sorry to say it. And he got the whole world into this absolute debacle. And now, as his usual wont is, he's demanding everyone else get him out of this debacle. Well, there is a way out of this debacle, and that is for Trump and Netanyahu to go home and just shut up for a while, honest to God. All they're doing is creating murder. All they're doing is leveling countries and threatening the whole world economy for nothing, absolutely nothing. This is how it could stop. Yeah. It could stop simply because it makes no sense. And it could stop if the Arab countries could somehow overcome their vassalage. And it could, the big countries, which is what I'm hoping for is the most realistic path, stand up as the only adults that we have right now and say that is President Xi and Prime Minister Modi and President Putin and President Lula and President Ramaphosa and other leaders stand up and say, no, you cannot do this on your whims and your fun of bombing, as Donald Trump has said. And Netanyahu, as he declares it, his dream of 40 years. The man is a madman. We have to say it because we're really in trouble right now.
Here's President Trump yesterday. I was saddened to hear this, but not surprised. This is almost remarkable. Suggesting NATO, as you just mentioned this, Professor Sachs, should get involved helping the United States and Israel. Chris, cut number 9.
Always there for NATO. We're helping them with Ukraine. It's got an ocean in between us. Doesn't affect us, but we've helped them. It'd be interesting to see what country wouldn't help us with a very small endeavor, which is just keeping the Strait open. That, by comparison, is a small. It's small because Iran has very little firepower left.
It's unbelievable. We do something totally insane. It makes no sense. Why don't they come to help us? And it requires nothing. So why don't you do it, Mr. Trump? Because you know that what you're saying is not true. You have gotten the world into a total disaster. You, not NATO, not China, who you called for aid, you. And it's up to you, Mr. Trump, to end the disaster that you and Netanyahu caused. And it's easy. Go home. Stop this absolute blunder, which is bringing down the whole world. And the world will know who is bringing down the world economy and who is lighting the fuse to World War III. It's you. Don't talk about NATO coming to your aid when you've done something so stupid that it can't even be explained. It's enough. Go home. You killed enough people. You leveled enough of Tehran. You have 15,000 strikes. Go home. You killed their leader. You killed their religious leader. You killed the leader that said, we don't want nuclear weapons. You killed that one. You killed their top leadership like last summer when they were in the midst of negotiating. Go home. Stop already. Stop trying to draw other people and other countries into this. It's enough.
You mentioned China. The White House has leaked this morning. President Trump is scheduled to visit President Xi in 3 weeks. The White House has leaked this morning, he may have to stay in Washington to manage the war. Translation, Xi doesn't want to be seen with him on the international scene in the midst of this.
Who would? Who would want this man who out of nothing created a global disaster that he has no clue about and has no way out of, except to stop his own blunder, which he is psychologically incapable of doing? So who would want to be seen with this person? Really a problem. We're normalizing something so awful. Where are the senators? They voted, we don't want the War Powers Act. Well, you know what? It's not your damn choice. It's the constitutional responsibility of your office. You can't choose. We wipe our hands and we give it to one person to decide about war in our country. You can't do that. The declaration of war, the constitutional responsibility of yours. That's what it means to defend the Constitution,
right?
Not to wipe your hands of it. And that's your opening every show, so beautiful, about undeclared wars and preemptive wars. This is exactly what we have in our country right now. Blatantly unconstitutional. Where is our Senate? Nowhere. Where is our House of Representatives? Nowhere. Vote them all out of office.
Well, the Congress has gone from let's go back to December 7th, 1941. A valid, lawful, moral, constitutional, December 8th, declaration of war. Congress doesn't declare war anymore. It ratifies wars that presidents have declared.
Not even presidents.
Ratifies it by silence, or it ratifies it by paying for it.
Well, ratifies wars that the CIA and Mossad have declared.
Correct.
Because that is our real government. And then we have this person we call president, who is just gleefully posting gifs of video game bombings of Tehran and saying it'll be fun to go in and bomb Karg Island again. And this doesn't immediately wake up everybody to the reality of the situation that we're in. Where are these congressmen? It doesn't care what party you are, senators. It doesn't matter. It's your responsibility. That is your oath. Look at your oath. Your oath is to defend the Constitution. Read it for a change. Congress, and only the Congress, has the power to declare war. Why? So that exactly what's happening right now doesn't happen.
Here's Trump at his worst on all of this. Cut number, if you can imagine that, cut number 3.
Together with our Israeli partners, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? He said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true.
Yeah, why doesn't he mention the carpet bombing of Tehran, the mass loss of life, Israel's displacement of 1 million people in another invasion of Beirut, and doing in Beirut what they did in Gaza with the generals of Israel bragging how they're going to make Beirut the next Gaza, and the political leaders saying all of this, and the murder of 160 schoolgirls, and then Trump lying about it brazenly, and then sinking a ship off the coast of Sri Lanka, and against every regulation and norm of combat, leaving the sailors to die. And it was a ship that was not an armed ship engaged in armed combat. It was a training ship of Iran that had been invited by India. And we just think it's fun to leave the sailors to die. Come on, America. Is this our country? Is this really what we're about? Didn't we make a constitution so that this wouldn't happen?
How do you think, I mean, Trump is desperately looking for a way out of this. How do you think the U.S. and Israel so grossly miscalculated the resilience of the Iranian people and the strength, the sort of asymmetrical nature of their military?
Look, one clue at Netanyahu, who championed this war and also said that this was his dream for 40 years. This man has been wrong about everything. So if you want to try to take a judgment beforehand, you might analyze who is giving you the recommendation. Netanyahu's doctrine has been to overthrow governments throughout the Middle East. And he's told us repeatedly, all you have to do is just get rid of X, Y, or Z, and all's going to be wonderful. Remember what he told Congress, just get rid of Saddam Hussein. It's going to inspire the region, and it's going to inspire Iran, and it's going to be so wonderful. So Netanyahu owes us, I'd say, about $7 to $10 trillion. And the bill is rising quickly. What a waste of money for us to be at war together with this horrible extremism and militarism of this despicable person who has led us into repeated wars and did it again. So yes, they're all deluded because all of these wars have failed. Our bombing of Libya, what did it do? It produced 15 years of chaos since then. The destruction of Sudan, another big project of the CIA and Mossad. What did that one do? Well, it's produced 2 civil wars. And how about that great overthrow of Syria that the CIA engaged in starting in 2011? Well, that killed hundreds of thousands of people, cost hundreds of billions of dollars of destruction across the region, or tens or hundreds of billions, who knows what the cost is, in what was supposed to be, oh, this one will be easy. Judge, they're always getting this wrong. That's their job. They're selling us a lot of BS from morning till night. Oh, it's so simple. Oh, I'm going to make a phone call and the war will end. Oh, we're going to decapitate the leader and I'm going to choose the next leader. Oh, we bring down Saddam Hussein and we have a democracy in Iraq. When have we ever been told the truth about any of this? Not once. When have they ever been right? Not once. And you'd think after we witnessed a genocide straight out that we might ask another question to partner with our wonderful genocidal partner, Israel. It's not hard to see these mistakes. It's just that this is an out of control war machine that we have.
Is there?
And there's no desire for constraint because our Congress is so corrupted, so pitiful, that they don't even raise a question. Come on. So, yes, it was not hard to see that this was wrong. This isn't some deep miscalculation. This is a first-rate, obvious stupidity of people that know nothing and learn nothing.
What do you think the view of this is from the Kremlin, Jeff?
Well, I know what the view is because we hear it from the Kremlin. They see no use in talking to the United States at all. It doesn't matter. They say anything. They don't keep their word. They're completely irresponsible. President behaves like a child. They see it. The negotiations are over. They're not going to ask Mr. Witkoff to come again. It's done. So much for the phone call and ending the war in 24 hours. They understand this. Everyone understands this. You go around the world, but the problem is, everyone understands it, but the problem is the following, Judge. In about 80 countries, the U.S. military and CIA sit there, and those places are afraid of us. We're not defending them. We're occupying them. And so they don't speak out. And we're hearing voices, one after another, of some brave leaders speaking out, like the Spanish prime minister, who's been very clear. And I can tell you, because I'm speaking with many leaders, the sentiment is widespread. What the hell is happening in your country? What is going on? That's what they're wondering about. Hear this crazy call, come help us, after you've done this incredible blunder. So this is what's happening around the world.
Here's the come help us plea made as recently as 2 hours ago on Fox. Chris?
Yes, the president is speaking with our allies in Europe and also many of our partners in the Gulf and Arab world to encourage them to step up to do more to open the Strait of Hormuz. And our NATO allies especially need to step up. Look, President Trump has been very, very frank with our friends in NATO for a very long time. He got them to increase their defense spending up to 5%. And now he's calling on them to do the right thing. Because, again, the United States of America is leading the way, not just to support and protect our American assets and bases in the Middle East, but also to defend Europe and the Middle East and the rest of the world from the rogue Iranian regime from obtaining a...
Boy, if the American public accepts this, we are stupider than I thought.
Every single sentence makes absolute no sense. Is that a Saturday Night Live skit you just showed?
It is not, and it's not AI, Jeff. It is the president's chief spokesperson 2 hours ago on Fox and Friends.
It's a joke. No?
No.
It was a joke. No?
It was not a joke.
Okay. You parse every sentence. Every single sentence is crazy. First, I would like everyone to understand, if they have not, and I'm sure that most do, we had an agreement with Iran that would absolutely, fully have prevented nuclear weapons because the Iranians didn't want them, and their supreme leader said that they were against the religion, okay? And we had an agreement, and the agreement included strict monitoring by the International Atomic Energy Agency, sometimes several visits per day. And the monitoring went on for 2016, 2017, and Iran was in complete compliance. And then this person we call our president ripped up the agreement. Why did he rip it up? Because his friend Netanyahu told him to rip up the agreement. So these fools ripped up the agreement that was doing just what the president claims he wants to do. Then, despite everything, despite assassinations by Israel and the United States of Iranian leaders, despite attacks on Iran, despite bombing on Iran, Iran did not go to make a nuclear bomb because the supreme leader said, no, it is against Islam. So what do? These geniuses, Trump and Netanyahu, they kill the supreme leader. Bravo, very clever. Come on, honestly, do we have to go to the end of the world this way with this stupidity and with this dishonesty? And why should NATO come to the defense of such idiocy when the way to open the straits is for Israel and the United States to stop their barbarism? Very simple. Not hard at all. Gulf countries to recognize. And I met with leaders of these countries in November, and I can tell you already back in November, it was alarming to me. They are owned and operated by the United States because of all the military bases there, so they can't even think straight. But now maybe they can see this is not their security to have the Fifth Fleet there, to have bases all over the Gulf. No, that's for our games, not for their security. Maybe they can see that now, because the other way to open the straits is for the countries in the Gulf and Iran to understand very well, which they do, by the way, they're not each other's enemy. The enemy is Israel and the United States. Israel, because it wants to control the Middle East, and the United States, because in its delusions, it wants to control the world. And so it is not that the Saudis and the Iranians are enemies. They are not. It is Israel and the United States that provoked this, not only provoked it, that made this war, which has led to this disaster, totally predictably. So really, the Gulf and Iran should get together and say, we've all been had. This is absurd. Why are we fighting each other? We're all under attack because Israel and the United States wants to dominate us. That's what this is about. And by the way, people should understand it's not a coincidence that we attacked Venezuela, bombed Nigeria, sanctioned Russia, and invaded and attacked Iran. They're all oil-producing countries. The United States, in its delusional attempt to run the world, is trying to corner all the oil supplies. And that's what's happening right now. And then, since it's so delusional, it leads to disaster. And then Mr. Trump calls on all his good friends, you have to come save us because we're your best ally and protection. No, you're not protecting anybody. You're not protecting NATO. In fact, you're threatening to invade NATO in Greenland. Let's get real. You're not protecting European economy. You're destroying it step by step. That's true of everything that led to the Ukraine war, with the U.S. pushing for NATO enlargement and helping the coup in 2014 and busting up the pipelines between Russia and Europe. You're destroying the European economy, and you're doing it again. And what about all these Gulf countries? You think this is great for business in Dubai? I don't think so. This is a disaster. And is the United States your friend? No. So everybody needs to take a deep breath and remember Henry Kissinger's most famous adage, which is that to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, and to be a friend is fatal. That's what they're learning.
Thank you, Professor Sachs. Very forceful, gifted, courageous analysis. Deeply, deeply appreciated. I know you're on the other side of the world and it's a different time of day. Thank you very much for your time, my dear friend.
Always great to be with you. See you next week.